Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast and thanks for your support and listening.
Today we're covering the live-action anime movie, The Promised Neverland.
Now this movie follows the events of the first season of the anime. And even though it does stick to the main plot, there was still room for drastic changes that made this movie absolutely ridiculous.
Yes. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification bell to on future podcasts and World of Paws videos.
Absolutely. And be sure to follow us on Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram under Paws On Animation. And of course, feel free to share our videos.
Yes. So for this one, we kind of thought when they first announced this years ago, be like, hey, there's not really, you don't need a ton of effects for this show, at least for the first season. You just got some kids, mostly humans, you don't have that much of a decorated place. There's only really more action towards the end. It should be easy. And then they showed the people playing them, and they already failed before they even finished filming.
Oh, there were several things that stood out for Promised Neverland. First off, for the anime, it was wonderful the first season and you didn't know what was going on, and anyone who watched it wouldn't tell anyone else what it was about. Rascal did the same with me. She said, I can't tell you, you just gotta watch it. That's what made it really, really great, because I had no idea what to expect and I didn't expect what I got. What did they do for this movie? The absolute reverse. They told you every freaking thing in the darn trailer.
Yep, and in the movie itself is no better. I don't know what the plan was for this movie. Were they betting on the people who had seen the show to know what was coming? Or were they just not caring and built the thing up like it was any other horror movie? You can't tell, because there is no sense of where it looks like one thing and it's revealed to be another. They tell you there's something wrong with it. They show people screaming. There's dark things happening in the trailer. There's no surprise. You already know something's wrong with the place.
Surprise! Another thing that really made the anime and the manga work, if you've read it, is the sense of urgency that would prevail throughout the anime and the manga.
Yeah.
They made it seem like we gotta hurry up, we gotta get out of here, this is something that has to happen. All these people are kind of laid back, yeah. We gotta get out of here, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You're awfully calm for almost being eaten.
Well, that's because they're 16 and not 12.
Well, yes, but I bring up that too. They decided for this movie they wanted to age up all the kids. The time they usually send out the kids to be food would be at 12, when it's I guess for them it's the ripest. But for here, I guess they didn't feel comfortable with that, so they aged them up to 16, and then the people are being played by 20-year-olds. So it's like, at this point, just go ahead and send them back to the human world. There's no point eating them at this point. They're already far gone. Just send them back to the human world if you're going to go that long. But they keep the rules exactly the same, where they're sent out at that time, and they have to be eaten at that point. But it really contradicts a bunch of things happening in the story. Like when Connie is sent off, she's not 16, she's still the same age she was in the anime. So what happened? Did she just get lucky?
And no explanation.
No, it's just
explanation as to why this isn't following the plan they made for the movie. It's like someone forgot.
Right?
Then you have Isabella and you have Crone. Now, you remember these characters from the anime both made their own mark on the season. Isabella, very beautiful, very mom-like, very calm, and you don't find out till later on that what's going on, and then you kind of sense the sinisterness within it.
Yeah.
And here they've got her acting evil from one. There's no secret. She has these looks and she acts evil and she has innuendos and she makes snide comments and she's mean, and it's like,
what? How did you get away with this long if that's the case?
And Crone is no longer Crone. If you've seen the anime and read the manga, you've seen Crone. Well, this isn't Crone.
No.
That's all that we can say. This isn't Crone, neither in looks, nor behavior, nor in the scripting.
Right.
It's an entirely new character, and it would have made more sense if they had just named the character something else and replaced Crone. Because that's what happened.
Right, you did it with AOT, so why not? So for Chrome, one thing that was really off about it is that another thing with Isabella, there is no intimidation really from her. It's just really more comic relief. Now, she did have some funny parts, and that was sort of to ease the tension that was going on. She was saying crazy things and have these really bizarre expressions that will make you laugh. That was done on purpose to add very little comedy to this story. But for here, not only does she make the really most bizarre faces, she does it so much all the time, and no one ever reacts to it like this is just a normal thing for her. And then the actress playing her was not able to run as fast as Chrome, because if you see the anime, she is so fast they couldn't keep up. They decided here that she runs at normal speed, and they really choppily edit the film to make like she's going from place to place. And in one scene, she goes to supersonic speed for like 5 steps, but she didn't even use the rest of the movie. So I guess they didn't want to put in either the effects or have her run that long, so it just looks off the whole time, like the kids are just slow.
It wasn't in the budget. Okay, another thing that stood out about the anime and the manga is that it was multi-diverse. All the characters were multi-diverse. You had everyone was represented. Well, guess what? Not in this movie.
No. And when they had like the cast reveal, it looked like it at first, but then they got to the movie
and they changed it. It's like there was a shot for the promotion, so you would watch it and go, hey, that's really like the anime. And then you watch the movie and you're like, what happened to all those other kids that were in the promotional shots?
Yeah.
They just disappeared. They changed casting.
Exactly.
It's AOT all over again.
Exactly. Especially when they get to Don and Gilda. They're extremely different from the anime. When you get to see all these kids, not only is it not really a big group of different ages in here, they kind of have them nearly the same or not that far apart, except for the main cast who have to be nearly 16 because of how they changed it. Don and Gilda act very differently, and they look very differently. So much so that we didn't even know those were the characters until we figured it out from how the story played out.
And the same happens for the little one, Phil.
Yes.
Phil had been aged up.
Yeah, and suddenly he was smarter than them. Well, he was already a really smart kid, but they kind of did like Full Metal Alchemist, where they have points in there where they found about William Minerva, and they have the part where they find these books of Morse code in the library, but instead of them figuring it out on their own, like in the anime, Phil comes in with the books and gives it to them and says, here, there's codes in here, and then that's how they find out. It's like, okay, I thought these were the top 3 kids in the place, but they can't figure out anything suddenly. So what sense does this make? Is that so you could speed up the time, or what?
So, now that we've told you the things that just didn't make sense for changes, we actually have some positives. The film itself looked really good. The backgrounds really looked good.
Yeah, it did look like the place.
Yes,
exactly
absolutely.
like the place.
Absolutely. Even inside, where the tables, the bedrooms, except for Ray's, everything looked like the anime.
Yeah, that is true. And for the most part, they did almost do line for lines for the anime. There were some things that were altered to speed up the progression of the story, so it's not just by episode. But for the most part, they kept that, and the things that happened, at least the majority of it in season 1, was kept. They barely really changed anything. The biggest thing they only changed is that they revealed Ratiri suddenly. Like, wait, why is he here? We didn't know he existed.
Long conversation with Ray that didn't know Norman.
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense. It's like, Norman, why are you telling him what you were thinking, what you weren't, what you were planning, what you weren't, what you guys were going to do when they escaped? Like, what? Who wrote this? Who wrote the script?
And judging by the ending, like I said, the happy ending really does happen still.
But here's the problem with the ending. The ending didn't make sense because when they got to the bridge, okay, they did really well, and they had to go across on the ropes. They stuck with that. But then Isabella shows up. And unlike in the anime where words aren't spoken between she and Emma, there's a long diatribe.
10 minutes!
Monologue, diatribe, just, why are you talking? Get across the bridge! Get across the cavern! Get over there! Why are you standing there talking all this stuff to her?
For 10 minutes! This goes on for 10 minutes, and you're thinking, okay, movie's almost over, but then they start talking and talking and talking. It's like, are you trying to avoid the end of the movie? Why are you still talking?
At first we thought that, there was going to be a change, and Isabella was delaying her so they could catch them. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Because it's so different from what happens in the source material. And it didn't make any sense.
No.
And it wasn't even touching like at the end of the first season when you realize she really did care for them and she wanted them to get away. None of that was here.
No, it was just there, and they tried to bait and switch with her being Ray's mother. They act like it wasn't true, but then it is true, but it might not be. And it's very odd how they played it, because they make it sound like Ray didn't know until they did. It's like it was two different ideas, like they weren't going to do it at first, and then they decided, now let's put it in, and it looks like two conflicting reveals. And then for me, I think the last thing would be, like, it's kind of really minor, that's like the smallest thing in there, because there was so much more else wrong with the movie, is that there was no hint of anything between Emma and Norman, and I'm guessing it's because of the age differences between the actors. They decided to cut it out. There was explicit of how Norman felt about Emma, but they decided to take that off altogether here, and it doesn't feel like the three of them had been through a lot together. There was no sense of that type of friendship there, period. It was just kind of like they were saying the lines from the anime, they were doing some of the scenes in the anime, and then that was it. There wasn't any moment where you felt like, yeah, these three are really great friends. It looked like Ray is just there because he has to be.
Yeah. And Ray's played by a girl.
Yes, and that felt...
Which we didn't understand why. It just didn't make sense, because when we heard the Japanese, it was obvious it was a boy doing the voice.
Yeah, so...
We were kind of confused.
Yeah. And, well, we can at least say it still did better than Season 2 of the anime.
So, bottom line, manga is excellent from beginning to end. Season 1, as you mentioned, the anime was outstanding. Season 2, not so much. This movie should have never been made. However, what are your thoughts? We'd love to hear them. Drop them below. Did you love seeing the live-action version? We got to see it actually on YouTube. Did you see it at the theater? I don't think you can buy the movie.
I don't know
I don't know if you want to buy the movie. I hope there's not a follow-up movie.
I don't know. There's one for Full Metal Alchemist. I didn't think that was ever coming back.
But let us know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please like and feel free to share it. We really appreciate you.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos on your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
And more live action adaptations that pretty much are all horrible.
Right? So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.